It was a sunny afternoon in the quiet hills of the village. The birds sang a cheerful tune, and the sky was painted in hues of blue, like a giant canvas in the heavens. 12-year-old Samuel, a hard-working boy with big dreams and a curious heart, was out in the fields, tending to his family's land. His old sandals kicked up little clouds of dust as he walked, his mind wandering to the stories his father told him about treasures hidden long ago by kings and merchants. "What if I found one?" Samuel whispered to himself, laughing at the thought. No more waking up at dawn for chores. He daydreamed, imagining himself dressed in royal robes, jewels sparkling in the sun. Suddenly, as he dug his spade into the earth to plant a seed, clunk! His tool hit something hard. Samuel froze. Could it be? His heart began to race. He knelt down and brushed the dirt away with trembling hands. Beneath the earth, glinting faintly in the sunlight, was the corner of a mysterious old chest. Samuel's eyes widened. It looked like something straight out of the stories, ancient, weathered, and covered in symbols he couldn't understand. "A treasure!" Samuel gasped, his voice barely a whisper. He looked around to make sure no one else was nearby, and with a great heave, he tugged the chest free from the soil. It was surprisingly heavy for its size. He grabbed the rusted latch and gave it a hard pull. Creak. The chest opened slowly, revealing its glittering contents. Gold coins, sparkling gems, glittering trinkets. Samuel blinked, unable to believe his eyes. He was rich, but then something strange happened. A shadow fell across Samuel as if the sky had suddenly darkened. He looked up, startled, but the sun was still shining brightly. That's when he noticed a figure in the distance, a man with a cloak, slowly making his way toward the field. Samuel quickly closed the chest and covered it back with dirt, his heart pounding like a drum. Who was that man? Had he seen the treasure too? Samuel knew he had to act fast. This treasure was too precious to leave behind. Without hesitation, he made a plan. He would go home, sell everything he had, and buy the entire field. Then the treasure would belong to him and no one else. But as Samuel rushed back to his village, he began to worry. Would his family agree to sell their home? What if someone else bought the field first? Or worse, what if the man in the cloak was already on his way to claim the treasure? That night, Samuel barely slept, tossing and turning, his mind filled with thoughts of the treasure. He dreamed of it, glowing with light, waiting for him to return. When the rooster crowed the next morning, Samuel jumped out of bed. He hurried to the marketplace, selling everything he had: his old wooden cart, the family donkey, even his little pouch of savings he had been keeping for a new tunic. His neighbors looked at him curiously. "Samuel, what are you doing?" asked his friend Miriam, as he placed his last silver coin in the merchant's hand. "Why are you selling everything?" Samuel smiled, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you," he said, though deep down, he knew she'd understand one day. Finally, after gathering all the money he needed, Samuel went to the landowner and made the deal. The field, and the treasure hidden beneath it, was his. With a grin stretched from ear to ear, Samuel raced back to the field, where the treasure lay patiently, just as he had left it. The man in the cloak was nowhere to be seen, and the sky seemed brighter than ever. Samuel dug up the chest once more and opened it, expecting the same glittering pile of riches inside. But as he stared into the chest, something magical happened. The treasure wasn't just gold and gems anymore. It began to glow with a light so pure, so warm, that Samuel had to shield his eyes. The light filled the air around him, and for a moment, it felt like time itself had stopped. He felt a deep peace in his heart, a peace greater than all the riches in the world could give. And then he understood. The real treasure wasn't just the gold or the jewels, it was something much bigger. It was the joy of discovering something precious, the thrill of adventure, and most importantly, the treasure of God's love, hidden in the most unexpected places, waiting to be found by those brave enough to seek it. As Samuel closed the chest, he smiled to himself. He didn't need royal robes or sparkling jewels. He had found something far greater, something that no one could ever take away from him. And so, just like in Jesus' parable, Samuel had learned the true meaning of the hidden treasure. In Matthew 13:44, Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field." The kingdom of God is a treasure so valuable, it's worth giving up everything to have. And just like Samuel, when we find it, it fills our hearts with joy and peace beyond measure. So keep your eyes open, because you never know where you might find God's hidden surprise.